toothpaste!
Alright guys, new channel means new reaction. New Storytime animation means new reaction to Storytime animation that I've never ever seen it before. Why did that? I don't know. Anyways, let's see the channel. Wow, let me explain Studio. So yeah, let me explain Studio. I'll never watch it, but now it's time to watch. Yay! Alright, daycare stories. Let me explain about daycare stories. That was okay. This is a stupid joke.
Oh, hello, my geeks and peeps, my explainers and entertainers, my little oodle-lollies. Rebecca Parham here. So,
You mean, let me explain?
Kid? Probably not, because I've never mentioned it before. Makes sense, given that Mom and Dad were both working parents, and leaving one's infant at home alone is generally considered problematic. Now, I know it might be hard to believe, but I haven't always been the pinnacle of refinement and maturity that you see before you today. No. As a kid, I was a bit of a rascal. For example, the box story. Now at this daycare we had a big playroom, and in this playroom there was a dark little alcove where
did something evil?
equipment was kept
You
all the
throw
time,
some person in the box?
Someone had left a large box there.
What are we doing with the box?
Child to hide behind.
Okay.
Now there's a concept that I call kid logic, and it's basically just a name for that randomness that kids possess, or the absurdity that is their reasoning sometimes. For example, when I saw that box, that's when my kid logic kicked in,
like
and I said, I'm gonna hide behind that box for as long as possible and see what happens.
Yes.
This is a great idea. So when the adults weren't looking,
I agree with you. I will. I agree with you. I will do that.
There for half an hour before playtime ended, and they ushered all the kids away to a different room for a new activity.
Okay.
And funny enough,
you're alone.
Adults were none the wiser. I was gone. I've beat the system.
Now this is what hey.
It took an hour of me hiding before an adult came back.
Where are you? I'm just hiding in the box, man.
For something. Couldn't imagine where it might be.
That's pretty.
Where did I leave that small child?
Where are you?
Around here someplace. I peeked my head up over the edge of the box to watch, but that proved to be my undoing.
Ooh.
I was spotted. I've been compromised. I got in big trouble for that, of course.
Ooh.
I was clearly not good at getting away with things when I was a kid, as you'll see in the next story.
Like, that's everyone, right? You don't. That's like every kid, every single. As a kid, right? You don't. You get caught immediately.
Instead, I stole a green dry erase marker when no one was looking and proceeded to decorate my face. Hey, listen, I didn't break the rules. They specifically said don't draw on the board. They said nothing about my face. I put the marker back and walked away, but was promptly spotted by an adult. Becca, did you do this to yourself? No.
No, that was a ghost.
Did somebody do this to you?
No. Yes. I'll blame with the boy.
Sheesh, I hadn't thought I had that far. And I honestly didn't even think to blame another kid. Instead, that good old kid logic kicked in. And I came up with
kid logic, it's like a young, low mind, like a brain so little, so sort of kind of after the beginning of the breather developing, right?
Over and marked on my face.
Ooh.
Nailed it.
Did it work?
I never understand how that daycare worker kept a straight face.
Huh?
But off to timeout I went.
So, what are you in for?
I'm just drawing my face.
The status quo? Whoa.
I just draw my face.
That's some gum up my nose.
Something I haven't mentioned yet is that my sister Rachel also went to this daycare. And because she's 2 years older than me, she got to be in the big kids program called the Superstars. And I was so jealous that I took to calling them the Stupid Stars.
You're stupid.
Extra crispy on that burn there, little Becca. But one thing that will always be a significant memory to me is the day I discovered that the Superstars had a Nintendo.
Ooh.
Better yet, they had Super Mario Brothers. And that, my little oodle-ollies, was the first time I ever saw a console video game. I thought I was looking at magic. And that became the only thing I ever wanted to do at playtime, was go over to the big kid area and watch them play Super Mario. Don't you dare tell me that gamers aren't real entertainers. I was watching people play video games long before the Appliers and Septiceyes and deep eyes of the world made it a thing. But when playtime was over, the daycare staff had to pry me away.
No.
Screaming from that TV set.
No. Wait. Wait.
One day, however, I came up with a brilliant idea. When they pulled me away from the big kids corner and sat me down with the other little kids, I proceeded to scream and cry that I miss my big sister.
I don't blame you.
Was gonna console me except
I don't blame you,
being allowed
man.
to be with her in the big kid area.
The big kid areas. I want to see
so they
someone.
actually let me go back over.
Oh,
Holy Crayola, that actually worked.
Sure enough, I made a beeline for the Nintendo.
yay,
Screw you, sis. I got video games to observe.
yay.
It didn't take long for an adult
Able to
catch on, and I was
access to.
eventually blown away again.
Oh,
When I tried the same shtick,
didn't
they
work
gently
because
said,
you're in 9 there.
You say you miss your sister, but every time you go over there, you just watch them play video games.
Why?
Okay, maybe they had me there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty solid accusation.
Yeah.
All right, grown up, I'll concede to you this time. But one day I'll be grown up, and I'll watch all the video games I want.
Don't
Good.
you mean play them?
No.
Now I've saved the best story for
Watch
last.
'em.
Even when I started kindergarten, there was
I
no
mean, hey.
escaping this daycare. Because one of the services they
it
provided
is
was picking
before
up
a
children
bit
from
of,
my elementary school and taking them back to the daycare where the parents
what
could
she
pick them up
said,
later.
people
so every day
doing
I didn't get
gameplay.
picked up by a parent or get on a normal yellow school bus. I waited for a big white van.
Hmm.
That sounds rather nefarious now that I say it out loud. But yeah, Rachel and I would wait for the van, pile in with the other kids, and go wait to get picked up at the daycare. And this was a routine my kindergarten teacher knew. She was a very good teacher and kept track of the way each of her students were supposed to go home.
Okay.
So she would make sure I got in that van.
But
Well,
you
I was
didn't?
getting a little bored of the routine. And here's good old kid logic again, because many of my classmates would get to walk home. And for
Yes.
some reason, I decided that was the cool thing to do. I aspired to walk home. But that wasn't gonna happen with Miss Responsibility Pants botching my whole operation. So like the little devil I was,
Don't walk
I
home, you
waited
guys.
until
Okay,
we
everyone
had
walk home.
a
Every single
substitute
people.
teacher.
In the past, I walk
All
home.
right, here's your
This could be
evil
normal.
genius learner's
But
present, kiddo.
as a
When
little,
school ended
I
that
don't
day,
know.
Instead of getting into the daycare
But do you
van,
even know where
I
your
hid
home is?
behind a brick pillar and waited for the van to leave without me.
But-
Funny how my sister never said anything. She must have been like, all right, I guess she died. As soon as the van left, I headed off on foot. My house was within walking distance, only about a mile away.
Oh.
But I began to think as I walked that no one was actually going to be at the house.
Yeah, and also, a mile, is that long? I don't think, no. But as a kid, the kid logic, she said, I mean, yeah, that, the little brain, you know, you're young, you don't know nothing much of it, the kid logic, I mean, I like to put that way much, like, you know, kid logic, great thinking that, why not, you're curious, right, curious, you know, I could do it, but you can't, and this, I don't think you can, you're
And I had no way of getting inside.
Psyche.
Probably should have thought of that before. So instead of walking home, I made the executive decision to walk to the daycare instead. Now, I knew what I was doing was against the rules. Because every single time I saw a white vehicle of any sort coming in the distance, I would duck behind a tree or bush as fast as I could. When I was so close that I could see the daycare up ahead, I noticed what was most definitely a white van approaching.
Gotta
and
go.
the only tree immediately available was thinner than me. So not only was this tree already insufficient at hiding me,
small tree?
but when I jumped behind it, I didn't think to put the tree between me and the line of sight of the van.
Sorry.
So when the daycare staff
Oh
arrived,
my god,
this is
getting
what
caught.
they saw.
Oh.
I'm revoking that evil genius learner's
Yeah.
They stopped the van.
I mean, hey,
made me get
experience,
inside,
right?
and
This is like a
guess
first time
what I
experience. So
found
you want to try
in the
something that
backseat?
you never done. You want to do it.
Snitch that ratted
Oh.
me out. My own sister.
How could you? We were brothers, you and I.
When you like,
And that is just a handful
Hey.
of examples of what a little monster I was.
Hey.
I talked to my sister about this script.
yay. Oh, daycare too. Yay, another one.
Oh, good evening, my geeks and peeps, my explainers and entertainers, my little oodle-ollies. You're just in time for tea. You know, the last time we were sitting at my dining room table, we were talking about daycare stories, right? Well, who doesn't love a good sequel? Let's jump back to the good old days of making daycare staff miserable. If you remember that last video, you'll remember that my sister Rachel and I went to this daycare together. She was with the big kids, I was with the little kids. But the two of us had been going to this particular daycare literally from infancy. So the staff knew us. And we both had reputations. Rachel's nickname at this place was Rocky because she would start fights with older kids who were being mean. While when I was about 18 months, I would go up to other kids just learning how to walk and push them over.
Like a bully?
Maniacally.
And
listen, I got my devil tree out early. You best be thankful that I'm a good witch of the woods now. A typical day of daycare for the Parham sisters started early in the morning getting dropped off by a parent. And the experience was very different depending on which parent dropped us off. See, Rachel and I didn't like that our parents were leaving us. Frankly, we weren't that thrilled being left at daycare to begin with. But we knew to keep that sentiment to ourselves whenever Mom dropped us off. She was incredibly no-nonsense, and our tears and screams would do nothing to sway her. She'd just drop us off and sashay herself out the front door without looking back. So we learned that her heartstrings couldn't be played on. But if Dad was dropping us off... There's a game that both kids and adults play. When little kids play it, it's called dig in a random spot and hopefully find something.
Dramatic.
When adults play it, it's called Minecraft. Just great. Digging in dirt or sand to a kid, it's magical. Mostly because of the slim chance that you might actually find something.
Minecraft.
But there were two main things that we were all digging for as kids. Say it with me. Buried treasure and dinosaur bones. Which makes archaeologists and paleontologists adults that never outgrew it. I caused some major property damage at daycare once by digging. You want to hear about it? Of course you do.
Yes.
One day, two kids and I were playing outside in a secluded, shady part of the playground around the back of the building.
How great are you?
Difficult for the adults to supervise. The three of us were happily digging away in the dirt when, gasp, we actually found something.
What is it? A bone?
That's the best thing about the positivity and the optimism of kids. It doesn't matter what you found while playing this game. You still felt like Indiana Jones.
What do you saw? What's the thing you found in the dirt?
Elusive water pipe.
It belongs in a museum.
I mean, hey.
The moment the three of us walked away for just a second, leaving
you found water pipe?
A random boy saw the exposed pipe in the ground, picked up a big rock, and... he took all the blame, and they had to shut down the water at the daycare for a few days to get it fixed. However, this next story, I absolutely got caught in the act, and I'm pretty sure it's one of those universal childhood experiences.
Hey, water pipe, rock, and then water splashed up to the air. He's okay, but wow.
Experiences. 'Tis a dangerous and often hilarious thing the first time a child figures out that hair is meant to be cut and scissors are meant for cutting. We all put two and two together real fast, eyeballing those craft scissors in our school supplies. There was only one incident I tried to cut my own hair as a kid, and it was at daycare. Of course, it happened during arts and crafts. I don't even remember what we were making, but it involved scissors, and the person who was supposed to be watching us made the fatal error of
don't
looking away for just a second.
hurt yourself.
Because
don't do it.
That was all the time
I want a haircut.
I grabbed a piece of my hair, raised the scissors up, and Rebecca.
Oh.
Don't you even think of...
The daycare worker took me to the staff room to sit in timeout with
What
her.
happened?
A wise thing, not leaving me alone to my own devices. She
Just,
sat at her desk writing down this little incident in my report card.
Snitch.
While I had to sit in a chair and not move. But every time another staff member walked in, this lady would say something like, "Hey, do you want to see what happens when Rebecca tries to cut her own hair?" Oh,
that's Sally?
Okay, Janet. I don't recall asking your opinion on my hairdressing.
I hope that's not her real name.
Start playing the shame game. I'm gonna let Kid Becca have the floor.
You think my hair's bad, but you paid someone money to make you look like that. If you let me do your hair, it would at least be an improvement.
I don't get paid enough for this.
And I don't get paid anything to tolerate you, but here we are.
Hello, Mrs. Parham. Yes, it's Rebecca again.
Mom, I saved you money on my next haircut.
Okay, I didn't actually say any of that.
No,
Man, I
but
wish
you
I was
know.
a fire-breathing roast lord back in the day. Then maybe I would have become an actual stand-up comedian instead of an animator pretending to be one. Did you hear the one about crypto? So as I've said before, Rachel was in a different group than me, and
that's a
we had
what-if
different
story,
activities,
though,
so we didn't
actually,
always get to
right?
hang out with each other. But one day, while I was
Very
innocently
true.
playing with my fellow little kids, an adult
No,
plucked me
we
away
won't
from
ever
whatever I was
see her
doing
or even-
and sat me at a table with Rachel
Wow,
far away from the rest of her group. It was unmistakable she had purposely been isolated from the other kids.
All right, what did you do? You haven't confessed, have you? Demand an attorney, they can't prove anything.
What actually happened was the staff had planned an activity where each kid was given a glob of peanut butter that they could sculpt into whatever they wanted. And the best part
Okay.
was that they would eventually get to eat their creations. The problem was, ever since childhood, Rachel has been deathly allergic to peanuts.
Oh.
Seriously, it's a 911 call every single time. She's that sensitive. I once opened a particularly potent jar of peanut butter, closed it after just a few seconds, and when Rachel walked through that area a minute later, her eye began to swell. So
It's,
naturally, Rachel
odor-
was not
the
gonna be
odor,
allowed to play
right,
with
you
the
can't.
world's deadliest substance to her.
Okay.
Instead, they gave her some Play-Doh and made me come play with her so she wouldn't be alone. Wow, that sounds like
Oh,
such
wow.
a wholesome sisterly moment,
okay.
huh? Am I right? Right? Hey, Kid Becca, it's a wholesome sisterly moment, right?
Officer, I've never met this girl before in my life. Also, I should have peanut butter. Hey, don't you try to drag me down with you.
Mind you, I did sit there the whole time playing with Rachel.
Okay.
Just very angrily. But when the activity was over and
You
Rachel
both
was far
really
away,
hated
they
each other.
eventually gave me
Well, okay,
a
when I say
little spoonful
hate,
of peanut
little
butter for
like
my
don't
trouble.
diss it.
But
Like
oh my
that's
God,
like a
what an
normal thing.
absolute
Like
brat, right?
the
Never
fights,
mind that
right?
it's a life
Even
or
though they're
death
not really
situation
not
where you
fights.
have
Like you know,
one less
it's
sister
a
at the
normal
end of the
thing
day.
of
But
sibling,
hey,
right?
listen, I was not
It's a normal
always
thing.
inconsiderate of my sister. Sometimes I was very helpful. You all know about smarties, right? Not the good kind, the American kind. The bishop on the chessboard of loser candy. I will hear no arguments to the alternative. Well, this daycare was no stranger to giving out this candy as the occasional treat.
What do you do with the
And one day,
Smarties?
Rachel apparently had gotten her hands on a pack of them.
Yes.
The two of us were in nap time together when she rolled over and whispered,
Hey, Becca, guess what? What?
I got a Smartie stuck up my nose and I can't get it out. Now, as a bright young child with plenty of potential to eventually maybe one baby smart, I had a perfect plan of attack for the occasion.
Let me sniff it. Let me.
I got a stick.
I got a rock.
We all stuffed random
I got
things
a
into our
stick
pockets
and
as kids,
Smarties
and
in my
apparently
nose.
I had a stick that day.
Whatever you
Why
do,
you have a
don't
stick?
move.
I shoved the stick up Rachel's nose to try and get the Smartie out. And as one would imagine, a stick is not the most effective nor sanitary tool for such a job. So all I really accomplished was pushing it further up her nose.
Ah, ow. This
There's no
needs
way.
into brain surgery soon.
Just as I thought the Smartie could go no further up Rachel's nose, a daycare staff member walked by and was treated to this cheery sight.
Did it work?
Hey, wouldn't you know it? That little extra push caused it to dislodge and fall down the back of Rachel's throat.
Oh
Well,
no.
there you go.
Well, I mean, it works.
You know, my dad used to tell people that I was smart enough to be a doctor.
Do you get a
He was
nosebleed?
lying. All right, explainers, just one more
Does she
thing.
get a
There are
nosebleed?
only a couple days left to pre-order the Witch Becca doll and
Oh.
the new pen set. These are very limited edition items we will...
Okay. Buddy boom, yeah.
Ah, the backyard. The personal wonderland of suburban kids everywhere.
Mhm.
A place of curiosity and imagination. A minefield
My
of
lips are
anthills
dry.
and lost Hot Wheels.
My
A
lips are
peaceful
incredibly
refuge
dry.
Where the
Great.
greatest childhood memories are made.
Girls! She did it! Hello, my geeks and
No,
geeks,
it
my
was the bird
explorers
did
and
it. You
entertainers,
just said
my
it
little
was a
zombies.
bird.
Rebecca
That'd
Parham
be
here.
funny.
Backyards are great. They have grass and trees and fences. To a kid, they could be the plains of Africa, the jungles of Papua New Guinea, the great wilderness of Alaska, or the perfect place for a treehouse. Can I just go on record to say
Treehouse.
that I freaking love treehouses? I mean, look at these. They're mystical,
Mhm.
woodsy, and full of character.
Mm-hmm.
And away from people. Look at this one. I want to live there. I want to hook it up with Wi-Fi and a sauna. I want all the local kids to call me the Witch of the Woods and tell stories about how I'll steal your toes if you get too close to my house. I want to be a ghost story. Wait, we're off topic. Backyards. A staple
Okay.
of suburban living.
Ghost
I lived in suburbia
stories.
as a kid with all the trimmings. Neighborhood kids to play with, nearby woods to explore, a school I could walk to and from. And you can't forget your standard issue bully that lives up the street. My bully kid was named Jocko. Jocko. Now, Jocko wasn't your run-of-the-mill bully kid. You know, the big thundering monsters that you stay away from at all costs, like a Kanker sister or a Flats the Flounder.
Okay.
No. Jocko was more like Buford from Phineas and Ferb. Still a bully, but one that got involved in the adventures, and you invited over for a game of baseball sometimes. He was a weird one for sure. One time we were over at his house in his backyard, and he needed to release the hounds. But instead of going inside and doing his business like a normal person, he popped a squat right there in the grass and made fertilizer. And then his dog ate it. He also once found a lighter in our backyard and
Why? Why? What's that's what? I don't want to hear that, but I'm just have to say something. What? It's wow. Why? Alright, move on.
and decided that he wanted to make a campfire. And my sister and I were just like, yeah, sure.
What's the logic with that? Okay, sometimes well,
gathering things to incinerate
there are smart kids, right? There are smart kids, but you know they
just so happens at that
they're still
moment, my mom looked up from doing
born
the
young,
dishes
very
and saw
young,
that
like
through the kitchen
like
window,
they
and she ran out screaming at
they don't
us.
know, and they're not
I'm so
Einstein
Jacko had
level,
to
right?
zoom.
Of course, they're
She
like,
caught us,
well,
too, because we
they're
weren't
still
even messing around at that point. We were gonna light a freaking
developing.
fire. Give the hellfire and brimstone preacher something to talk about, if you know what I mean. Lord, save us from the unholy demons known as the Param children. Thank you, Jesus. Actually, my dad did call me a firebug sometimes when I was a kid because I tended to like fire, and still kinda do. Hey, it's warm and pretty and gets rid of evidence. Everything you want in a boyfriend. But the big story that I remember about Jocko was the tree incident. One day, my sister and I were playing baseball with Jocko in our backyard when one of us hit the ball over the fence into the neighbor's yard. Our neighbor wasn't home and their backyard gate was locked, so Jocko came up with a bright
poop the
idea.
neighbors.
He began climbing our giant oak tree so he could swing over to the neighbor's tree, climb down, and retrieve the ball.
But
Rachel and I just stood there watching him climb, periodically going, "You're gonna fall.
yeah,
We're gonna have to call the fire department to get you down." Which I think only strengthened his resolve to make his brilliant plan work because he just kept climbing.
Okay.
Strap in for this one, explainers. It gets good. When he got close to the neighbor's tree and was about 15 feet off the ground, he grabbed a pencil-thin branch in his hands and actually tried to swing to the neighbor's tree like he was freaking Tarzan. Apparently, Jocko has never seen a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
that's going to
known
rip.
better. Who says cartoons rot your brain? Guess what? The branch snapped.
Yes, I agree. Oh. Yep.
Ah! Mom!
Yeah.
Jocko had not only fallen, no, he had crashed through the neighbor's wet bar.
Wow.
Which my sources tell me is a bar or counter equipped with running water and a sink for serving alcoholic beverages in a home environment. And Jocko
It's just broken.
completely obliterated this thing.
Wow.
It was like a dinosaur had stepped on it. Just went. Jocko was screaming so loud that his dad, who was working in their front yard up the street,
And meanwhile,
heard it,
too.
came running and kicked in the neighbor's gate to get to him. He ended up having a broken arm, which I'm still surprised to this day that that's all that happened. From the damage that I saw to this web bar, I'm surprised
you know,
he's not dead.
something.
There should have been some fractured ribs or
Well,
brain
I guess
damage.
this is
Well, I guess he got meant to hang.
durable,
I
right?
also had to pay the neighbor back for the wet bar, just to add insult to injury.
Yes,
Moving on to the theme of
100%.
breaking
Yes.
news, my sister and I actually did the childhood cliche of breaking a window with a baseball. You thought that skit was just a witty farce, huh?
No.
Actually happened. My sister and I were in the backyard playing baseball with the neighborhood kids. Big surprise there. I was pitching, she was batting. I tossed her the ball,
You.
hit it.
Oh.
It veered off to the right and crashed right through my parents' bedroom window. And everyone in that backyard except Rachel hit the deck. My parents came racing outside and found my sister standing there with bat in hand, completely flustered. Both of my parents were mad, but my mom told Rachel to go get her piggy bank because she was gonna pay for it. But Dad jumped in and said,
No.
"That's not fair. It was an accident.
Yeah.
Every kid gets to break one window with a baseball." Yeah, that was my dad for you. He never
Good
figured
dad.
out what it was like to be a kid.
Good
So
dad.
he wanted the most
I
fulfilling
would say.
childhood for us. including all of the classic mistakes like breaking a window with a baseball.
You know,
So now I
don't do
gotta
that.
tell one on
And
me.
that's,
Time, I
such a
suppose.
very
When I
normal
was about
thing
9 and
as a
should have
little
known
kid
better,
will do,
I'd
right?
sometimes
Like
pass
you're
the
seeing
time in the
movies or
backyard
something
by
like
taking
that,
an old
right?
fence post, laying it over the side of our raised garden beds, and jumping on the end of it, launching an array of different materials into the air. Rocks, pebbles, grass, sticks, anything. This is what we did before we had the internet, kids. One day,
Yes.
I really wanted to launch a ball off of my makeshift catapult, but there was a problem. The ball would roll off of the fence post before I could launch it. Physics. Who knew? And in order to complete my little experiment, I needed an assistant.
Stop.
My little brother David was
Stop.
about 3 at the time and was very susceptible to suggestion, which worked out perfectly for me.
And you
not so
break
perfectly for
you
him.
gonna break
I
his
told
teeth
him
or
on the
something?
count of 3 he
Yes,
was
I
going to
think
put
so.
the ball on the fence post so I could quickly jump on the other end before it rolled off. Simple enough, wouldn't you say? But when I counted to 3 to commence our experiment, he did something a little unforeseen. He
Yeah.
leaned
see-
down and directly
No.
over the fence post to very carefully
No.
place the
No.
ball. And by the time I looked
You're
over and
going
saw
to
him
smack
doing
him.
that, it was
Oh,
my entire weight came down and the fence post smacked him right in the face.
you wrecked them hard.
I'm dead. I bequeath everything to my Teddy Ruxpin. David rightfully screamed at the top of his lungs and ran inside.
Yeah.
He was not happy at all. David's whole face swelled up, and there was a puncture wound on his cheek that was maybe an inch away from his eye.
Oh my
He still
goodness.
has a scar there to this day. I got in a lot of trouble, and my parents yelled at me that I could have blinded him. Even though it was an accident, he wasn't supposed to put his face over the catapult. But I felt really bad, to the point where I still felt bad years later into adulthood when someone would bring up this story. But now, I've animated it and shown it to 1 million people, so it holds no more power over me anymore. Animation, my antidepressant. So yeah, backyards, imagination, magic, wonder, childhood trauma, you get the idea. But seriously guys, go spend some time outside, get some sunshine and fresh air, it builds character. It's also really good for your mental health. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, but wait a minute, editor,
Yeah.
I've got some things to tell you before.
Okay. Might watch it again. Of course. Always. Something I like, I will watch it again and watch more videos of it. So. Yeah.